JK Bajoria is the Director and President IO at JK Tyres, who joins in now to talk about just that. Good morning and great to have you on board. Let's start off, Mr. Bajoria, by understanding the extent of the production-supply gap in the tyre industry, and during the same period, how much did natural rubber prices rise?
Natural rubber, if I start with a small summary, that production has been continuously dropping, and from 8.4 lakh tons to 6 lakh tons in the last 10 years, which is a decline of more than 30%. And if you take the consumption, it has increased from 8.72 lakhs to 12 lakh tons, and this is the first year, that is 18-19, where we have touched almost 1 lakh metric tons per month of consumption. So that is where the gap is. And earlier, if you can see that the gap was barely 20-30,000 tons, and today the gap is 6 lakh tons, 600,000 metric tons. So that is where the problem is, and it has been compounded by the Kerala floods, which you would have you would recollect happened in Q3. So this is where we are at this moment on the natural rubber scenario.
To what degree is the present, domestic production capable of satisfying the industry needs as well, Mr. Bajoria? ATMA expects natural rubber consumption in India to surpass the projection of 12 lakh tons, which has been made by the Rubber Board for the year 2018-19. So do you see increased dependence on imports compared to, what we've seen so far going ahead?
All these figures that I have given are Rubber Board figures, and certainly we are depending on the imports, and this gap has to be met. I think gradually this will further increase unless the incentives are given to grow more rubber. We have seen some initiatives taken in the northeast states, that is Tripura and Assam and that area, but then the quality of rubber coming from that area is not as good as the rubber which is coming from, let's say, down south. So really the help is needed to the tyre industry, because you see what happens is that another 2-3 things have happened. The export entitlement, which helped the tyre industry to import some rubber at a more competitive price. Now the export obligation period has been reduced from 18 months to 6 months. So you can imagine that, you see, that much of extra exports have to be done to meet the demand, the import entitlement that we have used up. And secondly, the pre-import clearance has been made mandatory, which was not there. And thirdly, only 2 ports have been permitted, and there are now port restrictions other than the JNPT and the Chennai port. So what we are only requesting is that until and unless the gap is kind of incentivized, then at least we are allowed to import the imported natural rubber at the same duty as the end users are giving. That means finished tyre is getting imported at less than 10%. So the tyre industry's plea, which is already there with the authorities and government, that we should be allowed to import natural rubber which is in short supply at 10%. Till such time the demand and production gap is narrowed down.
Right. Mr. Bajoria, what would higher dependence of imports then mean for you in terms of cost? Because the industry already took a price cut once this year, and given the weak OEM demand, you may not be in a position to increase prices.
Well, I would like to look at it differently. We did have Q3 was a demand dip in terms of OEMs, and that again has a lot of factors. As you can see, there is a lot of liquidity crunch, and then on the insurances, vehicle insurance, and then the fuel prices, and then again, you know, we have the factors on the commercial vehicles where they have to now take more of these the clearances on the so really, you know, we are talking of a very temporary phase. I'm already seeing OEMs are coming up already in March, and I'm sure that this dip is very, very temporary. Maybe immediately after the elections, things should look up. And in the meantime, what we have done is that at JK Tyres, our push has further focused on the replacement demand, which is always there, and then the exports. See, actually what had happened that in the truck bus radial, where JK Tyre is the leader in India, we had curtailed and we had restricted exports because we were naturally wanting to safeguard our market leadership in India. But for this period, obviously, you know, it is not an off and on game, but yet we have now started pushing many more tires for exports, particularly the commercial tires, the truck bus radial tires. So you see, this kind of ups and downs will continue. These are normal cycles. Sometimes they become a little more steeper, and for example, the OEM cut came rather suddenly. But I'm not unduly worried, and I think we are doing reasonably well, and we have grown. JK Tyre has grown with the corresponding period by almost about 24%. So I think we are going to weather this obstacle pretty well.
Okay, fair enough. You know, just to also just get your thoughts, Mr. Bajoria, ATMA has reached out to the government on this regard. Have you heard back from officials as well? And you know, in terms of margins going forward, given the kind of you know, slowdown that we've seen on the demand front, what's your anticipation there?
Well, as of now, we have not heard, till the time I'm talking to you, I'm not aware of any response from the government, but I'm sure they are looking at it sympathetically, because at the end of the day, you see, tire industry is contributing a great deal to the exchequer of the government, and I'm sure they will not let this industry become uncompetitive, because after all, otherwise, you know, there are imports taking place despite the anti-dumping that has been imposed on one category, that is the truck bus radial tires from China. So what's happening is that now the people are importing from Thailand and Vietnam, and these are all kind of subsidiary manufacturing setups of the Chinese people. So this is what is happening, but you know, this is after all, it is a bit challenging, but I think those who are efficient tire producers, manufacturers in India should be able to overcome these challenges.
Okay, Mr. Bajoria, we'll leave it at that. Thanks so much for taking the time out and speaking with us today. Good to speak with you.